Hi there, I'm Katy Rose, and welcome to the Rooted Reinvention, a podcast exploring the real-world journey of reinventing who we are without burning out or burning our whole life down. I teach people how to make lasting change by melding my Masters in Neuroscience and my Cognitive Therapy qualification with common self-help tools, spiritual concepts, and my personal experience. Because being yourself doesn't need to feel so damn hard. To get more information on podcast episodes, please visit rootedreinvention.com/podcast. In a previous episode, I talked about 4 quick fixes for when you're feeling on edge, and I talked about different ways to manage those sensations that we get when we're feeling anxious. If you missed it, it's episode 47, and I will link it in the show notes for you. But today I'm finding myself wanting to do a bit of a part 2 on that, because last night Ember didn't come home and I had to manage my own sense of anxiety and the feelings that were coming up and the thoughts, and realised that I hadn't shared these particular strategies. So if you don't know, Ember is one of my 2 cats. They are both outdoor cats, but they get shut in at night as per the recommendations for those who live in the UK. And before I get into the story, Ember is home and she is safe and she is well, and I need to just caveat that first. She is currently sat washing her back foot as I record this. It's not unheard of for her to be on the fence and for us to call her in and for her to be like, no, I don't want to come in, and to leave. But neither my husband or I had seen her. We hadn't seen her for about 8 hours, which is not like her. She tends to come back every 4 to 6 hours to kind of check in, ask for food, let us know she's here, see what we're up to. Like, she is the cat that does come home and check on us, so this was unusual for her. And by 10:30, both my husband and I had called out to her, had shaken the treats, had kind of done everything that you do as a cat owner. And I found myself going down those kind of unwanted paths in my head of what if something's happened to her. This is not the first time that she has not come home. There have been 2 previous occasions in 5.5 years, so it's very rare but not unheard of. And at 11:15, I went out armed with cat treats and the torch on my phone and went and looked for her, called out for her, and checked the roads for her. So it was a bit of a stressful evening. So my thoughts were racing. I was feeling the physical sensations of anxiety in my body. My heart was racing. I couldn't quite catch my breath. I was pacing up and down. I was fiddling with toys and things. I couldn't concentrate. Just your typical things you get when you're worried about something. And today I wanted to share a couple of additional tips for how I have found it helpful to handle anxiety in the moment. The first one is about calming the body. So there is a nerve in our body called the vagus nerve. That is a wire that comes down from our brain into our body, and it gives feedback to the brain about, oh, this is what the heart is doing, this is what the lungs are doing, this is how the body is currently managing. And we now know that because of this brain-body connection, if we can calm the body down, it can then send that feedback to the brain via the vagus nerve to say, oh, hey, we're all good down here, which then can help when your brain is overthinking and worrying and pumping out all kinds of chemicals to keep you in that anxious state, to go, oh, okay, the danger's gone, we can relax now, and stop with all those hormones and messengers. The 2 things that I found myself using, one of which I've mentioned before, is to breathe out more than you breathe in. So just taking a slow, deep exhale. Doesn't matter how much you inhale. Well, don't hyperventilate, but irrespective of how much you're inhaling, how much you're holding the breath or whatever breathing pattern you're doing, ensuring that you exhale long and slow will help your body go, oh, okay, well, we wouldn't be running from a tiger, or if you're in mortal danger, that's not something that you have the luxury of doing. And so this can tell your brain that we're clearly not in mortal danger at this particular moment. I have talked about that before with different types of breathing, and I've talked about shaking like an animal to kind of get rid of that kind of excess energy and let your brain know that the thing that caused the panic has gone. The other thing to do is to yawn. So even if you don't need to yawn, thinking about yawning, and I'm really holding myself back from doing it, because the more I say about it, the more I think about it, the more I imagine myself doing it, and the more I want to, because it is contagious for a reason. So when you yawn, even if you start off doing a fake yawn, that again is something that your body does not do when it's in that high state of alert. And doing this can reset, apart from the fact that it also helps you do a long exhale, it then provides feedback to your brain that clearly we're in a space where we can relax. And again, yawning is something we see in animals, that once the danger is past, they might yawn, they might stretch, they might shake. And it is just another way of getting that vagus nerve to tell your brain, hey, we're all good now, please stop sending out the panic. We're okay. Physically, my physical body is all right. Please stop telling it to be worried. The other half of this is about calming the mind. Again, I've spoken before about thought challenging. I'm trained in low intensity cognitive behavioral therapy. The question that I found myself asking, I actually saw in a journaling video on YouTube, so I will also link to that in the show notes. And it's to ask the question, would I bet on this outcome? So thinking of my example with Ember, I was thinking, what if she has got herself stuck up a tree? Would I bet that she's got stuck up a tree? No, that doesn't sound like her. Smoke does. Smoke would get stuck up a tree. That sounds very much like him. This doesn't sound like Ember. Ember is our street smart one as well. So when I started to think, oh my gosh, what if she's been hit by a car? My brain went, but she's the street smart one. She never goes that close to cars. Again, we know that Smoke has had a few near experiences with cars. So each time I was going through all of these what ifs, all of these worries, all of these concerns, playing out, catastrophizing what might have happened in my head, responding to that idea with, would I bet on this? Enabled me to kind of come back down to earth and think, do you know what? I don't believe that 100%. I think, I wouldn't bet on that. I don't think that's the most likely solution or explanation for what's happened. The two things that I decided I would bet on were, she's been scared into a bush by some people or by loud noises, and she's just hunkered down until she feels safe, and then she'll come home. Or she's out having fun and just doesn't want to come home. And she's like, do you know what? I know the cat flap's going to be open for me, so why should I come home now? I'm not hungry, I don't need anything, I'm having fun. There really isn't any incentive there. And those were the two outcomes that I decided that I would bet on. Obviously, the outcome of this story is I don't know what she was doing, but I do know that she came home just after 11 o'clock and is safe and well and seems herself and is currently sat on the windowsill as I record this. So I guess to end this episode off, it's worth asking, what do you do when you're in that anxious moment, when you start to feel yourself panicking? What techniques do you use to manage that, to question that, to think and feel differently? How do you keep hold of things? And if you don't, give a couple of these a try. I'll be linking to episode 47 again in case you missed those 4 tips. And there is actually a worksheet with episode 47 that has the tips written out. So again, I'll make sure that's linked. Feel free to give these things a go and see if they work for you. Nothing works 100%, but anything that's going to help 50% of the time is a tool I keep in my toolbox. As always, thank you so much for listening. I know that there's a lot going on in the world at the moment, and I hope that you and your friends and family are all safe and well. And I will speak to you again next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and as always, you can find out more at rootedreinvention.com. Take care, remember you are more capable than you often realise, and I'll see you next time. Bye!